Hello everyone. Today we are going to make a worsted weight poncho my way. Today here in Gumleaf Land we are making a start on crocheting a poncho. Now I scrolled through so many YouTube videos about making a crochet granny stitch poncho and I did not find one that I wanted. Because there's a reason. I don't like putting a chain in between my granny clusters. So there was not one single video out there that made the poncho without the chain in between. So of course, what did I go and do? I reinvented the wheel. I'm happy that I did because I just found as I was doing sample pieces, the clusters were really stretched out and sparse, and I just don't like that. So here we are, reinventing the wheel. They say you should never do that, but what the heck. So firstly, I'm going to make up a video about doing the poncho in a worsted weight yarn. And because I only have some small amounts left from my last project, it's the only worsted yarn that I have at the moment, I made up a little demo. And I think that looks great. I much prefer the clusters closer together than feeling really strained, which is what some of the tutorials were. So we also do a half double crochet, that's the back, that's the front, half double crochet round to start with, so we don't have that look where you have chain in the gaps. I don't like that either. All right, so what else I found while I was doing my searching was that all of them said for worsted weight you must use 80 chains, some even 76, but the majority of them were 80. So that's your starting chain. And they said not to panic. Don't be scared that it won't fit, because it will. I'm a little bit dubious about that, especially with the way I've done it. So I have done up 4 different sizes for you to choose. So start with your 80 chain, try it on. See, to me, that's not going to fit well at all. That's going to be tight. I know there's another 40 that need to go around the other side, but I would prefer to use a bigger size than that. So I've done the 4 sizes. In with your 80, try it on. If that doesn't work, go up to the next one, and so on and so on. They are particular chain amounts because they have to be divisible by 2. And then half of it has to be divisible by 3. All right, you can use just any amount, but you won't get the neat finish of having just 2 chains in between each cluster. So let's go and get into the details of how to crochet a worsted weight poncho my way. Now let's have a little look here at the demo. I don't have enough yarn to make a full poncho, so I'm going to work you through it with a smaller version. All right, we start off with our chain. You try the chain on to see if it fits. If not, make it bigger or bigger or bigger. I've got 4 options there for you. Then we do a half double crochet into each chain, because it just looks way much neater and more professional too. So you don't have these chains showing in between the clusters. Now what I've changed about this pattern is removing the chain 1 between each granny cluster. If you really love doing a chain 1 in between, you can go ahead and do that. That's a-okay. But I've made this so that the clusters will be that bit closer together and not feeling all stretched out like many of them were in other tutorials. Give you the positioning of the corners For example, if you've done 84 chains for your poncho, you're going to have your first corner at stitch number 1. You're going to have the second corner at halfway plus 1. That way it gives it an even amount of 2 stitches in between each cluster. I do teach you how to change colours as well. So I'm sorry that it has to just be a demo for the worsted weight. I will be doing a full demonstration and a full poncho with my DK or 8-ply yarn. For this tutorial, I'm going to use my leftover Brava tweed worsted weight yarn. I'm using a 6mm hook. You will benefit from using some stitch markers, and of course you'll need scissors, darning needle, and maybe even a tape measure if you want to measure your work as it goes. To make a movable slip knot, which comes in handy at the end when you want to tighten it up and have it look nice and neat, pop your yarn end in your left hand, wrap your yarn around 2 fingers, pulling that loop up, and you'll find that that slip knot moves. Yarning over and pulling that loop through the one on the hook. So that is your chain. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. We'll just do 10 and I will show you why. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Once you've made 10 chains, we're going to do a handy little tip. Take your hook out of your working loop, pop it into the top of the very first chain that you made. Now take your hook and pop it into the front of the 10th chain that you made. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And that way we have the chain not twisted. So when we want to use it at the end and join it up together, we don't have to hassle with untwisting your chain. I will go up to 20 chains, and there's another handy tip. So that's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. Now every 20th chain, it's advisable to pop a stitch marker in that stitch, or a safety pin, or tie some yarn in there, simply because when you're making lengthy chains and you lose count, you just don't want to have to be recounting the whole chain each time. So this way you've only got 20 chains to have to count amongst. Okay, so I'll do 20 more chains and then I'll put another one in. I'm going to put one in every 20 chains all the way along. So for the worsted weight, we are going to do 84 chains. Right, I will see you at the end of 84 chains. I've done 84 chains. I've popped a stitch marker at every 20. Now we're going to lay it out and make sure that it is in fact not twisted before we join it together. Okay, that's great. Now all we need to do is take the left hand stitch and pop it through the one on the right. Firm that up by pulling your yarn. Now we're not going to work into that same stitch, otherwise we would have too many stitches, but we'll go up to 85. We're going to start in the very next one. We're going to do a half double crochet into every chain. So you can chain 1, yarn over, pop your hook into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, popping your hook into the front of that chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Now I normally work into the back bump of chains, but for this project I'm using the front. Yarning over, popping your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Yarn over, pop your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now we're coming up to the 80th chain. We need to make sure we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 half double crochets because we've got 84 chains. Now don't worry too much about this gap here. We will sort that out when we darn this yarn end in. I'm going to take out my stitch markers as I go because we don't need them anymore. So yarn over, pop your hook into that chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pop your hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and there you have your half double crochet row. I wouldn't be tempted to do one of those foundation rows that are very stretchy because this actually needs to have some stability at the top of the poncho. I'm going to send you off to do half double crochets all the way around and I'll meet you back at the end. Now I do advise that you count up your half double crochets. I had 83 to here, so I needed to make sure I went into the very first loop that we made. It can look a little bit tricky, so if you're short by 1 stitch, work a half double crochet into that loop. Now, what we have to do is begin the first corner. So we're going to do a slip stitch into the top of the first half double crochet. Pull that loop through and pull the loop through the one on your hook. Now we'll do a stacked single crochet, especially if you're not changing colour. Okay. So if you've got a continuous variegated or self-striping cake or something like that, you want to do it this way. So popping your hook into the top of that first half double crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook, and you've got a single crochet. Pop your hook down through the center of that single crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops on your hook, and you have now a stacked single crochet instead of the double crochet. Now we need to yarn over, pop your hook back in that same place, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to do 2 double crochets. Yarn over, popping your hook in, pull up your loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. With our first granny cluster, we've made the second half of a corner. All right, we're going to make 2 corners in this project. The first one at stitch number 1 and the second one at stitch number 43. So you can count along to 43 and pop a stitch marker in there. Next we're going to skip 2 stitches and we're not making a chain in between each cluster. That's the way I've designed this poncho because it's just the way I like my granny clusters to be. And they were feeling way too spanned out doing it the other way. So skipping 2, yarn over, popping in your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Doing 2 more double crochets. Skipping 2, doing 3 double crochets and making a granny cluster. Skip 2, making a granny cluster, skip 2, doing 3 double crochets. I'm going to keep on going, so you keep going and I'll meet you at the halfway mark. For this round number 2, which is the granny stitch round, I've gone along, I've skipped 2 and worked a granny cluster into the third. So you should have 13 granny clusters. Now we're going to skip 2 and working into stitch number 43, we're going to do a corner that consists of 2 granny clusters with chain 2 in between. So yarn over, popping in your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Make 2 more of those double crochets. Now chaining 1 and 2, doing another granny cluster into that same stitch. 2 and 3. Okay, so that's your corner. Now skipping 1 and 2, working into the 3rd stitch from the corner with a granny cluster. Now go along, skipping 2 and doing 3 double crochet in every 3rd stitch until we meet up to this corner as well. Now you should have 13 granny clusters on the other side. We've come to the very beginning of our work. We're going to skip those 2 stitches and we're going to complete our corner. So yarning over, there's a little bit of a tricky stitch here where you can see that chain 1. Just go over the top of that and work into the bottom of where that first granny cluster is. So popping your hook in, yarning over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now make 2 more of these double crochets. This is the only time that doing this corner is going to be a little bit bothersome. All right, so 1 more double crochet. Now we're going to not chain 2, actually we're going to do something special. We're going to do a half double crochet, so that will bring us towards the center of this corner for where we need to start again. So yarning over, pop your hook into the top of that first double crochet you made, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now, pretending that we're just going to continue on with this same color. We can do a chain 1, yarn over to do a double crochet into that corner, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we'll do 2 more. So again, we're only doing the second half of the corner. We will finish that corner off when we get back to the end of this round. Okay, so now all you need to do is granny clusters in each space below. I'm halfway round this row number 3. Each round is going to increase by 2, 1 on each side of the corner. Now we're at the corner, we simply do 1 cluster, 2 chains, and 1 more cluster. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, this is what we're looking like. Now, if you are really feeling the need to do a chain in between, by all means go ahead. That'll be a-okay. But the way I've devised the maths on this pattern, you shouldn't need to do a chain in between. So it's completely up to you. I am a granny lover that doesn't have chains, because I like them to be closer together. I don't like them when they're spread out and sparse. I just don't like the look of it. So that's why I redesigned these ponchos to be made without chains in between. I'm now up to where we began and need to finish the other half of this corner. So popping 3 double crochets into that space. Again, we're going to do the half double crochet instead of 2 chains. If we did 2 chains, you would have to pop that in there and you would have a dilemma. Because we're not turning our work, we just can't start back in here and do it neatly. Okay? Or otherwise, if you started over here, you'd be doing lots of slip stitching along the top of the clusters. So we'll do this half double crochet trick. So yarn over, pop your hook under the top of that first double crochet, pull your loop through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now I'm going to show you how to change colours before I go. If you're doing the worsted weight version and you want to change colours, what I do is introduce the new colour midway through the very last stitch. So I've pulled undone half of that half double crochet. I'm going to pick up my new yarn and I'm going to pull that through. So out pops the new colour. What we can do here is 1 chain and yarn over, pop your hook through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 for your first double crochet. Now you'll do 2 more in that centre, and that's the second half of your corner made. Now you can whiz along and do all your granny clusters along the side. Now I'm back to my corner and I want to show you another way that you can change your colours. So doing our 3 double crochets, we don't need to do the half double crochet this time. We can do 2 chains. We can snip off that yarn, which I'm not going to do, and we can darn it into the top of that next stitch. Okay, so you have something looking like this. So let's ignore that, and I'm going to show you how we do a standing double crochet. So take your new yarn, pop your yarn over your fingers, pull up a loop for a slip knot, yarning over your hook, pop your hook into the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So there you have a standing double crochet. You can use this method if you like, and that involves the invisible finish at the end. So we'll just do a cluster, 2 chains and another cluster. And then you're on your merry way. Let's say we've done our whole round with the yellow colour and you want to finish off your colour here. What you would do, and this is how I'm going to do my 8-ply poncho, is snip your yarn here, pull that loop out, and you would darn your yarn end in under the top of the second double crochet, okay? And that makes what is called an invisible finish. Righto, you don't go under the first one because that makes an extra stitch. So you go under the second, pull it through, and then darn that yarn end away. And the top of that invisible finish lays over top of the first double crochet. I will show you how to do this properly in my 8-ply version, which is coming up next.